What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and yesterday I was watching the Europa League a little bit. It was nice to see Gio Reyna back in the flow of things, go up against James Sands, but I knew that Gio Reyna was going to be coming off the bench, Sands as well, so I was really planning on watching the Barcelona game for the first half and just seeing what Sergiño Dest could do against a very talented Napoli team. But Sergiño Dest was left on the bench, and this is with Barcelona being without Dani Alves, and I think it's just about guaranteed that Sergiño Dest has become ostracized at Barcelona. I can't really say he's completely due to the fault of his own. He hasn't been putting in the best performances, but traditionally at Barcelona, they have really valued the club's academy and club icons and loyalty. And even though Sergiño Dest has been operating on a similar level to Mingueza and a lower level than Alves, but Alves is, 18 years older than him? He's the one who's getting the majority of the flack for bad performances. And at the club, he really is an outsider. And something similar is happening with Christian Pulisic at Chelsea, though this is more with the fans, not the management, where Christian Pulisic, comparatively to Callum Hudson-Odoi, they're having a very similar season, and yet Chelsea fans have been much quicker to criticize Christian Pulisic. And that is completely normal. It might be biased, but all fans have biases, and that's just part of the game. Of course, that clubs have different standards for youth academy players who came through locally, just like the fans who would be there, compared to guys they signed for millions of dollars. And when we look at ourselves, we have that too. If you talk to me saying Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi are at a similar level, that's probably because we know what Pulisic can do. We've seen him at his best, but Chelsea fans, it's understandable for them to go, no, he's not performing. He's playing out of position. I don't care. These haven't been good performances. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, well, he's not been great, but I've seen what he can do. Did you see him with England at that U17 World Cup and those FA Youth Cups? I know I haven't, so it's understandable why Chelsea fans are fond of players they produced. And with Barcelona, I've honestly been wanting them to refocus on La Masia for a while. It honestly didn't feel right for them to have their own Galacticos, and honestly, when Xavi was signed, that's something I was pretty excited about. I mean, it sucks that Sergiño Dest is going to be a casualty of that, but I've held that belief before Dest got here, and I've held that belief even though we have a couple good players in La Masia, including Adrian Simmons, who looks like he could be a very good player. He's a USA U17 international. He's progressing through La Masia, and he will get this preferential treatment in the future too. If you're feeling like it's a bias thing, it's not an American issue. Looking at clubs with cultures of buying young players, guys like Gio Reyna at Borussia Dortmund, Brendan Aronson at Salzburg, they don't have this feeling a lot. And sure, Wes McKennie gets ribbed a bit at Juventus, but he's the American, But he's part of that team. And this isn't something that's against us. We're not victims. It's just something that's a normal part of soccer, and it happens in America too. Forgetting just other sports, just sticking with soccer, I think I know I've personally met a couple of people who talk about the USA national team oh, those Germans on the national team, and find it a bit hard to get behind them, which don't really like that. And I'm personally guilty of this in some ways. I'm a big fan of the Philadelphia Union in the MLS, and you think I'm as critical of homegrown players as I am of new signings? I'm going to be cutting Jack McGlynn a ton of slack this year if he makes a mistake. Should I be doing that? Maybe not, but are you going to play me? I watched this guy come through for a while. I know what he can do. So I'm going to be patient with him. And compared to guys who we're spending a lot of money on, guys we're spending international slots on, who could be better players, I'm going to be more critical of that. And one big example for this, I'm wearing the Crystal Palace hat today because this is something that I thought was pretty interesting. A few years ago, Crystal Palace brought in Frank de Boer. Never a good idea to bring in Frank de Boer, but he signed Timmy Fosu-Mensah for Manchester United on loan. At the time, Joel Ward had been our right back since 2012, and listen, he was due to be replaced. He still is due to be replaced, but it was still going to take a little bit to oversee him, especially as a loan player, somebody we'd have temporarily. And when Timmy Fosu came in and starting and didn't put together some great performances, he was facing a lot of criticism. And I remember just talking about man, this guy just really isn't doing that well. And I had to deal with Manchester United fans going, "Oh no, come on, you're not playing him in the right role. Oh, you're overreacting." I'm like, Joel Ward just put in a cross to save us the game. he's better than him. And then when both of them got injured, we had the emergence of Aaron Wan-Bissaka from the youth academy. And I know he hasn't been great at United, but when he broke through at Crystal Palace, it was something special, especially for that club. The academy's been like it's a good academy, but it was a good championship academy, and it took a little bit for it to adjust to Premier League level. And Wan-Bissaka was the first guy who really broke through at that Premier League level, and what he was doing at that right back position, his tackling ability is special. I don't think we've seen anything like it. I still believe that, and he had all the makings of a great prospect. I mean, sure, he'd lose a marker on a corner every now and then, and he'd give away a red card, but you forgive that with a young player because we're seeing this tackling ability, we're seeing his dribbling ability, and we're this guy can be great. And then when Timmy Fosu-Mensah came back to the squad, it was just back to being critical. Why are we playing this young guy? We're facing relegation right now. We shouldn't be giving him this chance, especially because he's just some guy we signed because we had a Dutch manager who sucked, who had a connection with Ajax, and see the similarities with Dest? I don't know. This is why I'm not being too critical of Barcelona fans or Xavi, because I understand the situation. Dest hasn't been playing the best himself, and listen, it's not the best situation for him. He's become ostracized at the club. I feel like he should leave, but just try to understand things from a fan perspective, because it's a perspective that we all have. We're all cutting Dest a bit more slack than maybe he deserves, and upping him more than he deserves. Maybe criticizing Mingueza and Dest more than they deserve, but hey, it's natural. This is the type of thing that happens, and just try to understand that. I don't know. That's all I really have to talk about today. See ya.